What if everything you were told about history was a lie? What if behind every great civilization, every war, every empire, there was a secret war being fought in the shadows? A war between two ancient brotherhoods. A war that has never ended. Today, we're going back to the Holy Land, back to 1191, back to the story that started it all. This is Assassin's Creed 1. Welcome back to the channel, or if you're new here, welcome. I'm glad you're here for this one, because this is a special video. Over the next 30 minutes, I'm going to walk you through the entire story of the original Assassin's Creed, from the very first moment Desmond Miles wakes up in the lab, all the way to one of the most mysterious and haunting ending in gaming history. Whether you've played it, whether you haven't, or whether it's been years, strap in. This is the full story. Let's go. Our story begins not in the past, but in the present. The year is 2012. A man named Desmond Miles wakes up in a strange facility surrounded by scientists he doesn't even know. Strapped to a machine he's never seen before. He has no idea how he got there. He has no idea what they want. That machine is called the Animus, and it's capable of something extraordinary. It can read a person's genetic memory. Well, you see, according to the people who built it, every experience your ancestors ever lived through is encoded into your DNA. So their memories are literally inside you, locked away. The Animus can't unlock them. So Desmond is no ordinary subject. He's been kidnapped by a corporation called Abstergo Industries, and they need something from his bloodline, something one of his ancestors found nearly 1,000 years ago. So Desmond is pushed into the Animus, and his mind is sent back to the year of 1191, back to the Third Crusade, back to a man named Altaïr Ibn-La'Ahad. To start it all, Altair is an assassin, but not just any assassin. At the start of our story, he's the best, arrogant, fearless, brilliant. He moves like a ghost, kills like a shadow, and answers to no one. Or so he thinks. His brotherhood, the Order of Assassins, is led by a man named Mualim, a wise and respected mentor who operates out of the fortress of Masyaf. It's hidden in the mountains of Syria. The assassins live by a creed. Nothing is true, everything is permitted. And their mission is one of peace. They believe that by eliminating tyrants and corrupt men of power, they can bring balance to a world consumed by war. So our story opens with a mission inside Solomon's temple in Jerusalem. Altair leads a team to retrieve a powerful artifact, the Piece of Eden. But Altair breaks the three core tenets of the Assassin's Creed. First, he draws attention. Second, he endangers an innocent. And last, he kills a fellow assassin to cover his failure. They barely escape with their lives, and they return to Masyaf empty-handed. Al-Mualim is furious. He strips Altair of his rank, his weapons, his everything. Altair is cast to the lowest of the Brotherhood, a novice. It's less than nothing. But Al-Mualim gives him a chance at redemption. There are 9 men, Al-Mualim tells him, 9 men who threaten the peace of the Holy Land, crusaders and Saracens alike, leaders, merchants, zealots, all of them corrupt, all of them dangerous. Kill them all, and your rank will be restored. Kill them all, and you prove your worth to the Brotherhood. Altair accepts, and so the hunt begins. So this is where the game opens up entirely. Altair moves freely across 3 breathtaking cities, Jerusalem, Damascus, and Acre, each one a living, breathing world. The streets are packed with merchants, pilgrims, soldiers, beggars. The rooftops are Altair's highway. He gathers intelligence, blends with the crowds, and one by one, he gets to work. His first target is Tamir, a black market merchant in Damascus. Tamir has been supplying weapons to both sides of the war, profiting from suffering and prolonging a conflict that has already claimed thousands of lives. Altair finds him in the market. He confronts him, and the blade falls. Tamir's last words are bitter. He insists he was serving a higher purpose, a greater plan. Well, Altair doesn't understand. Not yet. Then comes Garnier de Naples, a seemingly compassionate doctor in Acre. But behind the walls of his hospital, Garnier experiments on the poor and the sick, drugging them into submission, using them as test subjects. He believes he is helping them. He believes suffering now creates peace later. Altair kills him in his own hospital, and Garnier dies. He convinced he was righteous. Talal, a slaver operating in Jerusalem, capturing the innocent and selling them. A man who calls his victims animals, who profits from their chains. Altair hunts him through the city's streets and ends his operation permanently. Abu Nukud, the merchant king of Damascus, a man of unimaginable wealth, who despises the very people he governs. He hosts a grand party and poisons his own guests. He wanted to die anyway. Consumed by self-loathing and nihilism, Altair cuts his life short. But before he dies, Abu Nukud speaks of a man, a leader, someone who gave him purpose. William of Montferrat, a crusader lord in Acre. Cruel, disciplined, certain in his righteousness, he stockpiles grain and controls the population through starvation. Altair finds him on his battlements and eliminates him. Again, dying words that hint at a bigger picture, a plan that extends far beyond any one man. Majduddin, the regent of Jerusalem, a tyrant who holds public executions not for justice, but for his own entertainment. He rules through fear. He kills for pleasure. Altair ends his reign in public with a blade in the crowd. Jubayr al-Hakim, Damascus's chief scholar, a man who believes that knowledge itself is the enemy of peace. He orders the burning of books, the destruction of records, the erasure of history, because he believes ignorance will bring unity. Well, Altair cannot allow this. Sibrand, the paranoid grandmaster of Crusader, who has abandoned his faith entirely. He's terrified of assassination and trusts no one, and lives in a state of complete paranoia on the docks of Acre. He sees enemies everywhere. Well, he's right to be afraid. And then, the most personal kill, Robert de Sablé. We'll leave it for the end. The nine are dead, but the world has not found its peace. Altair returns to Masyaf, his books caked in the dust of three great nations. His mind fractured by the parting words of his victims. He walks through the gates of the mountain fortress, expecting the embrace of a victor. Instead, he finds an oppressive silence hanging over the stone courtyard. The air is heavy, thick with a tension that smells of incense and cold sweat. He climbs the grand stairs to the tower, where Al-Mualim sits in the dim, amber glow of oil lamps, the ancient man looking down at his most lethal people, not with pride, but with a cold, evaluating gaze. "You have done well, Altair," the old man of the mountain speaks, his voice a dry rasp that echoes off the limestone walls. The serpent has been desapplicated. It coils wider. But Altair does not kneel. The young assassin, once defined by absolute unthinking arrogance, has been forced to think. He looks at the glowing golden sphere resting on his master's disk, the artifact pulled from the depth of Solomon's temple, the Apple of Eden. It hums with a faint, almost imperceptible vibration, a sound that vibrates not in the ears, but directly inside the skull. They did not die like men who sought to tear the world apart, Altair says, his voice low steady, stripping away the blind obedience he once held. They spoke of a new world. They spoke of peace. Garnier de Nablus believed his horrors were a cure. Jubair believed his fires would cleanse the minds of men from false histories. Why did they face death with such certainty? Al-Mualim shifted in his carved wooden chair, his gaze fixed on the artifact. The Templars seek the same end as we do, Altair. They desire the absence of war. They desire a world where men do not slaughter each other over lines drawn in the sand or the names of gods. But their path is an abomination. They wish to achieve peace through chains. They wish to bend the knee of every king, every peasant, and every child to a single absolute will. Our creed fights to protect the light of freedom. We kill the masters so that humanity may choose its own path, even if that path is fraught with chaos. The explanation satisfies the mind, but it does not soothe the spirit. Altair steps backward, out of the tower, and descends into the bustling, sun-drenched kingdom that lies between the three great cities. This vast, unforgiving expanse of desert, rocky canyons, and forgotten ruins becomes the crucible of his transformation. To ride across the kingdom in 1191 is to witness a land eating itself alive. Saracen scouts clash with the Crusader vanguard patrols in the blind turns of the mountain passes. The local villagers, caught between two massive iron gears, hide in the shadow of ancient stone archways, praying that the men in the mail or the men in the silk pass them by without arson or slaughter. Altair rides through his wilderness, a ghost in white linen. He's no longer the reckless boy who threw his life away beneath Jerusalem. No, he watches from the high ridges as King Richard the Lionheart's forces march toward Arsuf, their armor glistening like a river of silver under the brutal midday sun. Well, the heat is a physical weight, distorting the horizon into shimmering illusions. He observes the tactical brilliance of Salah ad-Din's horse archers, striking from the dunes and vanishing like the wind before the heavy European cavalry can deploy. It is during these quiet hours of observation that the true weight of the assassin's life settles into his bones. The game changes from a series of targets into a profound study of human nature. He remembers his training, the grueling years spent on the cliffs of Masyaf under the burning sun, learning to control his breath, learning to feel his subtle shifts in the winds before jumping into the abbeys. The leap of faith is not a mere display of fearlessness. It's an absolute surrender to the belief that the body can conquer gravity through pure, unadulterated focus. Yes, as the name fell, all the nine of them, the dynamic shifted. Malik saw the change in Altair. He saw the pride dissolve into humility. The cold, mechanical killer was being replaced by a philosopher with a blade. When Altair returned to Jerusalem bureau after striking down Majd-ad-Din, Malik did not spit on the floor. He merely nodded, a silent, painful acknowledgement that the boy who entered the temple had finally died, and a true assassin has been born from his ashes. But the peace earned by the blood of the nine is phantom. As Altair investigates the aftermath of his actions, rumors begin to drift through the alleyways of Acre and the grand mosques of Damascus. The deaths of the nine leaders have not stabilized the region. They have created a terrifying vacuum. The balance of power is tilting rapidly, and name begins to echo through the camps of both armies. Robert de Sablé, the Grand Master of the Templars, is alive, and he has realized that an invisible force is systematically erasing his inner circle. De Sablé is no longer hiding in the shadows of temples. He is moving openly, leveraging the fear of the unknown to unite two bitter enemies against a common foe. Word reaches Altair through the network of eyes and ears. The beggars who trade secrets for coin, the scholars who notice the movement of troops in the dead of night. Robert de Sablé has left the fortifications. He is marching towards the Christian camp at Arsuf. But his mission is not military victory. He's going to speak into the ear of King Richard. He's going to convince the Crusader king, and subsequently Salah ad-Din, that the Assassins of Masyaf are the true architects of the war, a plague that must be burned out from the roots. If de Sablé succeeds, the full, unmitigated might of both the Western and Eastern worlds will turn toward the mountains of Masyaf. The Brotherhood will be obliterated, crushed between two armies that have temporarily forgotten their hatred of each other to destroy the men and the White Hoods. Meanwhile, Altair stands on a high cliff overlooking the road to Arsuf. The wind wisps against his robes, the sound resembling a snapping sail. Below him, the dust cloud raised by thousands of marching men rises into the sky, like the smoke of a burning city. He reaches into his gauntlet, feeling the cold, smooth steel of his hidden blade. It is a tool that redefined his life, a weapon that requires the sacrifice of a ring finger to ensure that when the fist closes, the blade extends without hindrance, a physical brand of his permanent exile from a normal life. He adjusts his hood, shadows obscuring his face until only the hard line of his jaw is visible. He turns away from the safety of the mountains and begins his descent toward the coast, riding directly into the belly of the beast, where Robert de Sablé waits to rewrite the fate of the Holy Land. The dust of Arsuf does not settle. It hangs in the air, a thick, choking veil of red earth and pulverized limestone. Altair steps onto the battlefield, the ground beneath his boots slick with the blood of Crusaders and Saracens alike. This is the heart of a third crusade, an absolute meat grinder where two greatest military forces on earth are tearing each other to pieces. Yes, Altair does not move with chaos of soldiers around him. He moves like an island of absolute stillness in a sea of violence. He finds his way through the madness, a white specter, parrying heavy broadswords and dodging curved semesters. His objective is singular: the tent of King Richard the Lionheart. As he breaches the perimeter of the royal pavilion, he finds the king surrounded by his elite guard, with a towering figure draped in the chainmail and white swordcoat of the Knights Templar, standing at his side. Robert de Sablé. "Hold your ground, assassin!" King Richard bellows, his voice commanding and filled with the absolute authority of a monarch. Altair stops. He does not draw his blade. He speaks not with arrogance of the man who failed in Solomon's temple, but with the steady, piercing clarity of a man who has looked into the souls of 9 dying men. He exposes the grand conspiracy. He tells King Richard that the man he trusted, the commanders who held his flanks, were part of a secret cabal, the Templars, who intended to betray both Richard and Salah ad-Din to seize the Holy Land for themselves. Robert de Sablé steps forward, his voice dripping with venom. "He lies, Your Majesty. He's a murderer, a shadowed dweller sent by the old man of the mountain to sow discord and destroy our holy crusade." King Richard, a man who respects nothing more than strength and divine judgment, looks between the two men. The air in the tent is suffocating. The fate of the entire region hangs on the decision of a single king. Richard raises his hand. "I cannot know who speaks the truth. Words are cheap on a field of blood. We shall let God decide. Trial by combat. The royal guards form a ring. Robert de Sablé drew his massive broadsword, the steel catching the harsh Mediterranean sun. Altair draws his own sword, stepping into the circle. This is the moment of reckoning, the ultimate culmination of his journey of redemption. The fight is brutal, heavy and exhausting. De Sablé does not fight like a common soldier. He fights with the relentless, crushing power of a grandmaster. Every strike of his broadsword vibrates through Altair's arms, threatening to shatter his bones. But Altair has learned the true meaning of the creed. He uses de Sablé's weight against him, dancing on the edge of the blade, utilizing the speed and the fluidity of his assassin's training. Steel clashes against steel, a rhythmic, defining cadence inside the ring of soldiers. With a final, desperate parry, Altair finds the opening. He steps inside de Sablé's guard, drives his blade deep into the Templar's armor, and forces the giant of a man to his knees. The battlefield around them seems to fade into a dead silence as de Sablé chokes on his own blood. Altair leans in, ready to receive the final confirmation of his victory. But as the world glitches into the stark, abstract white of the memory corridor, there is no fear in de Sablé's eyes, only a terrifying thing. You know nothing of the truth, boy. That is what de Sablé whispered, his breath shallow, a grim smile forming on his lips. You think you have won? You think you have saved your brotherhood? The 9 are dead, Robert. Your conspiracy is ended. Altair replies, with his voice tight. The conspiracy is not ended. It has succeeded. That's what de Sablé told him. You were a puppet, Altair, a blind puppet. Who do you think gave you the names? Who knew exactly where we stood, what we planned, and how we operated? It was not your skill that found us. It was the information given to you by the 10th Templar. Altair's heart has freezed. He told de Sablé to speak his name. Well, de Sablé smiles and he says, Al-Mualim. The blood pulling in his throat. He was one of us. He found the treasure together beneath the temple. But the old man grew greedy. He did not want to share the world. He used you to eliminate his partners so that he alone could have the power of the apple of Eden. Even now, as you stand here, playing the hero, he is bending the minds of your brothers to his will. You have delivered the world to a tyrant. King Richard steps forward, acknowledging Altair's victory as a sign of divine truth, granting him safe passage. But Altair barely hears the king's words. He turns and sprints from the tent. He leaps onto his horse, driving his spurs into its flanks, racing away from the blood-soaked fields of Arsuf. Everything stops. Altair races back to Masyaf and finds chaos. The villagers, the people Altair has known his whole life, have been put under some kind of spell. They move in a trance like puppets. Assassins of Brothers are among them, well, equally entranced. Because Al-Mualim has the piece of Eden, the artifact from Solomon's temple. That's what Al-Mualim sent Altair to retrieve in the first place. And everything since, every assassination, every target, was Al-Mualim using the Brotherhood to eliminate anyone who might stand in his way. The 9 men weren't random threats. They were the other members of the Templar Order. Al-Mualim was one of them all along, a Templar inside the Assassin Brotherhood, using both sides, playing everyone. And now, with the piece of Eden in hand, he has power over minds themselves, the ability to control people, to make them see things that aren't there, to bend their will entirely. The man Altair respected above all others, his teacher, his mentor, his father figure, is a traitor. Altair fights his way through his own entrenched brothers, friends, people he's known for years, and at last, he faces Al-Mualim in the Garden of Masyaf. The fight is unlike anything before it. Al-Mualim uses the Piece of Eden to create illusions, copies of the men Altair has already killed, all 9 of them, brought back as phantoms attacking from every direction. Al-Mualim is manipulating reality itself, but Altair cuts through every illusion. He's been trained to see through deception. The creed itself, well, nothing is true, remember? Means that perception can be deceived. That what we see and believe is not always real. Altair understands this now in a way he never did as an arrogant young assassin. And he reaches Al-Mualim. They fight. Words are exchanged. Al-Mualim argues that humanity cannot govern itself. The people need to be led, controlled, guided by those strong enough to make the hard decisions. He wanted to use the Piece of Eden to bring peace, but his own peace, so he forced upon the world. Altair disagrees. A peace that is imposed is not peace, it is slavery. The hidden blade strikes, and Al-Mualim falls. It's over, or so Altair believes. As Al-Mualim dies, the Piece of Eden falls to the ground, and it does something no one expected. It's activated. It projects a holographic map of the entire world, and across that map, dozens of glowing points appear. Dozens of locations, spread across every continent and every civilization. Well, there isn't just one Piece of Eden. No, there are many. Altair stares at the map in stunned silence. The implications are enormous. If Al-Mualim wanted one of these artifacts, and it gave him the power to control minds, well, what could someone do with all of them? What happens when someone or something collects them all? We're back to Desmond, in Desmond's time, back in the adversarial lab. Everything is different now. Desmond is pulled from the Animus. Abstergo has what it needed, information extracted from his genetic memory, but something else has happened. A phenomenon called the bleeding effect has begun. Altair's memories are bleeding into Desmond's consciousness. He's seeing things, and on the walls of his room, well, it's invisible to the naked eye. There are messages, symbols, warnings, written by a previous Animus subject who went mad from the bleeding effect, or who saw something so enormous or so terrifying that his mind couldn't just simply contain it. The messages speak of a coming catastrophe, a threat not from any army or any artifact, but something far older, something that even the Templars and the Assassins, for all their war, have never fully understood. And the game ends, not with a victory, not with a closure, but with questions. And that is the story of Assassin's Creed 1, a story about trust and betrayal, about what it means to follow someone blindly versus thinking for yourself, about the danger of those who want to control others, even with the best intentions. Altair started this game as an arrogant assassin who broke every rule. He ended it as something far more important, a man who finally understood what the creed actually means. Nothing is true, everything is permitted. Not a license to do anything, but a reminder that no authority is absolute, that every belief, every system, every person in power must be questioned. And that's it, guys. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. It genuinely helps the channel more than you know. And please subscribe if you want more deep dives into the Assassin's Creed story and any other stories, because we are just getting started. The lore only gets deeper from here. Please drop a comment on what the next story you want. And have you been surprised by Al-Mualim's betrayal? Please let me know below. Love you guys, and see you in the next one. Stay sharp.